Welcome to the hardware review of the VKB GNX EVO series, the new Omni Throttle adapter, with which you can turn your Gladiator in a versatile thrust controller, as well as the GNX SEM extensions, which can significantly expand the range of functions of your VKB Gladiator sticks. And after we already presented you a very comprehensive 3-part review of the Gladiator series, we recommend beginners to start here. Here you will learn all informations from all areas step by step. From setup, installation and configuration, various customizations options, and of course everything about the software, calibration and settings for Star Citizen, including free templates to download. Because the NXT Gladiator ecosystem remains in place, according to which all components are still compatible with each other, and you can continue to use your existing hardware without restrictions. In addition, VKB offers various upgrade options, such as the Omni Throttle adapter to turn your existing Gladiator into a thrust controller, or even an upgrade of your base directly to the new EVO version. This saves you additional costs, a very fair move from VKB. Hardware manufacturers could take an example from this in many areas. The hardware was made available to us free of charge by our partner VKB, but there are no requirements that would influence our opinion. And like all guides on the channel, this one is completely modular and you can use the timestamps in the video to jump to the parts that interest you or which you would like to see again. We start with the new EVO series. But first of all, a big thank you to the real ladies and gentlemen who make this video possible with their support as Patreons, channel members or Twitch subscribers. Thank you! The main differences of the new EVO series are, apart from improved electronics, metal ball bearings for the two main axes, as well as a dry clutch mechanism on both axes, the possibility to turn the EVO into a classic thrust controller, whereby we would like to introduce 3 different variants to you here. In addition, one of the encoders on the base station has been given a 3rd position. And with the optional SEM module, we can expand our Gladiator's range of functions even further. First, we change the connection of the stick to the base using the Omni Throttle adapter, which is also available separately for $30 plus shipping or €42 in Europe. There is no difference here to the standalone version of the Omni Throttle. After loosening the 6 cross-slotted screws on the grip, we can directly loose the bracket with 2 screws and install the adapter. And at this point, we would like to point out once again that in the first part of the review series, we will show you in detail how to dismantle and mount the base and the handle. The exchange to the Omni version only takes about 5 to 10 minutes and is feasible without special tools, even for rather unskilled screwdrivers. And the appropriate tools are already included with your Gladiator base. By the way, the Gladiator Premium variant offers the possibility of exchanging and adapting various buttons and control crosses in the same way. And of course, the Omni Throttle adapter is also compatible with the non-EVO version of the NXT series. Here, however, the possibility of using the thrust controller function is in some areas omitted. In addition, individual axes cannot be fixed here, for example. However, if you are not interested in this, the Omni adapter still offers a useful and ergonomic extension in dual stick operation. We install our Omni on the new EVO base, whereby an upgrade of the previous NXT base to the EVO version is also possible via a separate upgrade kit costing about $50, without you having to buy a completely new base. This upgrade is useful in dual stick operation, especially for the side planned as a thrust controller. The Omni is installed in the same way as the normal version, although we can already see the first differences in the inner workings of the EVO version. The external appearance as well as the dimensions remain identical, which ensures compatibility with existing accessories or mounts. After connecting the connection cable, our tip is to make sure that the cables are not under tension, but have some space. And after tightening the 3 locking screws, we have created a conventional standard configuration of the Gladiator NXT EVO Omni Throttle. The most interesting thing, however, is the possibility of transforming the Omni in conjunction with an EVO base into a fully fledged thrust controller, which also has a number of features in store. To do this, we first block the lateral axis with the enclosed material, after which only forward and backward movement is possible. And this blocking of the axis can of course be reversed at any time. In this configuration, with the spring in place, we do have a thrust regulation function, but the stick is always returned to the 0 position after it is released. Therefore, a further step is necessary in order to enable full thrust control functionality, with a dwell in the respective selected position. To do this, we remove the spring from the axle using the spring accessory provided. After removing the spring, we have completed a basic configuration for the thrust controller. Alternatively, we can still vary the resistance via the 3 control screws of the axles. With this, we have transformed our Gladiator EVO into a fully fledged thrust controller, although there is no active feedback via 0 position. However, this is quickly found after a little familiarization. In addition, the buttons and control options of the stick remain usable, whereby the ergonomic position is very pleasant. However, we naturally lose a complete axis by blocking it, which brings us to the second variant of the configuration options we presented. In this one, we keep the lateral axis completely, but we don't give up the thrust regulator function. To do this, we change the configuration as follows. In order to be able to use the thrust regulator without it jumping back to the 0 position, we have already removed the spring, after which the EVO holds the respective thrust position. However, in order to be able to use the lateral axis, we remove the previously attached fixation by removing the metal plate with the 4 screws. This way, thrust inputs remain in the position where we release the thrust control, but we can use the lateral axis as usual, whereby the spring always brings the stick back to the lateral center. However, the thrust position is not changed. This of course requires some familiarization time, as we are using an unusual control variant here. And with the third variant, we finally bring the full spring force back into play, whereby the thrust control function can now only be used by applying active force. Here we reinstall the spring and restore the basic functionality. Although we can use the Omni ergonomically, we cannot center a permanent throw position. The springs always pull us back to the absolute 0 position. However, for fast dogfights or even those switching from a dual stick setup, this can be a good middle ground to a thrust control configuration. Our personal favorite, however, remains variant 2, where we can use the best of both worlds. With the new GNX SEM, the side extension module, we get a switch, 2 multifunctional axes, 2 K-switches, 7 buttons as well as 8 programmable LEDs, which brings us, depending on the configuration, to 24 logical buttons or 70 buttons with 2 analog axes. Here we can attach the SEM directly to our Gladiator, after which we don't need any additional connections. But we could also use a direct connection to the computer via USB-C if we wanted. The SEM module, made of the same material as the Gladiator, is no bargain at $74 plus shipping or €104, but it offers a sensible and extensive expansion of the Gladiator system, whereby the configuration options in particular offer a lot of scope. The installation is very simple. Remove the 2 flaps and screw the Gladiator and the SEM together using the existing connector. The configurations as well as the key assignment and special settings are then made directly via the connected Gladiator stick, whereby we can use the software of the stick as usual, and this device is also displayed as the source in the game. In addition, the stability of the combination is significantly increased by the extended surface. In the enclosed accessories, we also find 2 different handle variants in white and grey to adapt the look to the stick. The range of functions offers a 4-fold mode switch, 7 individual, mostly LED back buttons, 2 3-fold switches, as well as a 3-stage flaps and 3-stage landing gear adjustment. A wide range of functions whereby we have the possibility to adjust individual switches and flaps, or even to configure 2 axes here. And of course, other modules and extensions from the NXT ecosystem can be brought in and connected. So lots of possibilities for an extended setup. One of the few optical innovations of the EVO base is the left encoder, which now has 3 steps instead of 2. Otherwise, nothing has changed in terms of appearance or housing. In the area of software or handling, there are also few changes, since we can fall back on the same VKB configuration software and the settings here do not differ from the previous version. Therefore, we would like to refer you once again to the comprehensive guide part 2 linked in the video description, in which we go into detail about every area from firmware updates, various settings and configuration options, to calibration and changing functions. Nevertheless, we recommend using the Find and Autoconfig function when commissioning the new EVO, as well as a subsequent complete calibration, in order to avoid errors and to be able to use the full range of functions. And for the SEM, we can set different variations for the flaps and the gear, or even use them as axes. All in all, the EVO version offers a sensible extension of the previous NXT series, whereby the thrust regulator function, as well as the new Omni Throttle, represent a clear further development and, depending on the intended use, can offer a lot of comfort and added value. In addition, we have the option of fully upgrading the existing hardware for a fair price. And finally, a little tip for All-Star Citizen players. With the last update, you have to activate the uses of your boost for the space break in the options, otherwise you have to manually use the boost for a space break every time. And the current version of the Gladiator dual stick assignment for the Omni Throttle you can find as usual in the Discord for free download. I say goodbye until next time, see you soon, and as always, see you in the verse.